The Nets did beat the Knicks 117-112. At the time of the crime, it was 115-112. All right, full disclosure, I agreed with Jay.
Yes,
Julius
you did.
is supposed to let
Thank
go of the
you.
ball there. I'm just having fun with it because losing. I just don't like losing
1 and
to
2
this
after
team.
the All-Star break.
It was so early in the shot, though, that he had no choice but to keep control of it.
Well,
He
Julius
lets
said-
it go, then Kyrie steals it, and he's in the fast break because he hit it so early.
The play happened in the last 5 seconds of the game. The Knicks had to make a wild comeback, and they did. They cut it to 3. They have the ball. There's a jump ball, too, which that was another whole situation where Tom Thibodeau had to challenge the call. They get the ball. Actually, he didn't challenge it, but the call was reversed. So Randle, who had 33, 12, and 6, like he had himself a game. They didn't have a great start, but a terrific finish. He went for 3 thinking Kyrie is going to, try to foul him before he takes the 3. That's generally what we see in the NBA. Kyrie just kind of reached in. He admitted, I was actually going to try to foul him, but instead he had a chance at the ball, thought he'd maybe try to knock it away. Julius felt the contact on the ball, and it messed up his ability to shoot it. So rather than force up a bad shot, he thought, maybe I'll get the call.
You just dropped the ball and you shielded the ball away from Kyrie. That's what you do in that situation.
I'm having fun with it. We're seeing it again. I'm having fun with it, but the truth is that's where he has to let the ball pop out of his hands to reset the play. He doesn't, the Knicks lose. Tom Thibodeau, of course, did talk about how he was not thrilled with the calls late in the game. Julius was smart and just left it alone, saying, let's just move forward. I said going into this game, look, no Derrick Rose, obviously no Kevin Durant for the Nets, so neither team really at full strength. The Nets are a juggernaut. We've talked about that as well. The Knicks are trying, and this is amazing how they flip-flopped. Mm-hmm. Like the Knicks are being like the little brother team now. They're the younger team that's just trying to scratch their way into the playoffs against the marquee team. And they did so. I said, you know what, win or lose, take a piece of this team before this is over. And did they, is the question. Or was that just a late push against a bad defensive team that thought they had this thing won?
I see something different for the Knicks.
What do you see?
I see a team that is scrapping to make the playoffs, that has a legit chance to make the playoffs. And I see some young assets that potentially could be utilized to land that superstar. Like, watching Emmanuel quickly last night, I've been watching him the whole year. I don't know if you like him. I love him.
I love him.
I love him.
I am not trading him.
Well, all right. I'm just saying, for who? For who? Who do you want down the line? You say that
Don't
now.
Don't do that to me.
I'm just saying, no, I want Emmanuel to keep playing well.
Right. You got one right, finally.
You did.
You got one right.
It could
because
be
Obi's has been, lukewarm out there. He hasn't been able to get the minutes. I know he plays behind Randle, but right now, quickly is saving that draft class. Like, man, this guy, it could be a potential all-star.
I hear you. I think he could be a piece for the future for the Knicks. He also could be a piece for the future for another team. It's like Spencer Dinwiddie was a piece for the Nets. Like, hey, it was like, we're not trading him. Well, we get James Harden. Might have to think about a trade, right? The whole thing, how that whole thing worked out. So I think, once again, young assets that continue to play well, this only helps the Knicks. And if they find a way to get to the playoffs, that's what people want to see. That's what free agents want to see. The New York Knicks knocking on the door. Yeah. You don't have to walk all the way through the door, but just the fact that you're at the party, willing to knock on the door, speaks volumes about where the Knicks are at.
It feels like, as you see, the Knicks are 7th in the East, and again, with 20 wins. Vegas, over-under was 22.5. They're at 20 wins at the 40-game mark. There's still 32 games to go. So if you took the over, you're in the money. You can already start counting. I know people say don't count your money. No, you can count it because I have a feeling they'll get at least 3 more wins.
They should beat the Sixers. Their next game up.
Well, without Embiid, they've got 2 against the Sixers in the next 3 games.
A scrappy team, though.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I mean,
they
should be right there though.
Yeah,
without Joel Embiid,
with Doc. I mean, that's the question. Look, where are the Nets? We know the Nets are the team that we'll really start to know once we get to May.
Yes,
and it's winning time. Yeah. Like then we'll know. But I also look at the standings and I see the Nets are in 2nd, the Knicks are in 7th. Now there's a 7-10 play-in, so you'd still have to deal with that bracket and make sure you lock in. But
by the way, Indiana's coming. Karis LeVert coming back. T.J. Warren potentially down the line.
So Indiana had a bad loss last night, but you're right. You got to watch these teams. The Hawks have made a bit of a push of late. They've won, I think, 4 in a row, 5 in a row. But just again, hypothetical for fun. You got the Clippers, you got the Lakers. Those 2 teams in L.A. Like that's fun. Having 2 teams, they play in the same damn building. Like that's fun. New York hasn't had this. When the Nets were good, reaching the finals in the early 2000s, Knicks were terrible. When the Knicks were good, the Nets were terrible. Like, they're never good at the same time where it becomes a true rivalry. Everybody says, oh, it's a great rivalry. It is not a rivalry, because a rivalry happens when two teams are good at the same time and have those heated playoff battles that become something of legend. They have yet to have that. But if you get a 2-7, if you're the NBA, how much do you want that as a first round? Knowing that maybe later you'll get Clippers-Lakers Western Conference Finals, maybe, for later, so you get that market lit up for that. But if you can get a 2-7 Knicks-Nets, would you buy, like, would you
I would go.
be all in on that?
I'm going, especially understanding that's what I love about Julius Randle. We did an interview with him for the Boardroom a couple years ago, and he has such a major chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He does not care what you have to say, what the media has to say. Yeah. He wants to rip your face off. And last night was a prime example of that. If that kind of energy is in the building, when these playoffs kick in and they're in that position, I'm watching that series.
What do they need?
Get a little testy. I think they need to go out and get Zach LaVine, man.
Well, you can't do that in season. The Bulls are also trying to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you got to make a
you're
move,
gutting
though,
your
right?
team. That's there's a lot of offseason potential, but if for something to help push them over the top, like the Nets just added Blake Griffin. Did they need him? Not really, but they got him.
Yeah.
You know, there's talk of them maybe getting Andre Drummond. Do they need him? I don't think so. You know, they need a little more grit, sandpaper. Right?
Who do you want as a Knicks fan?
As a Knicks,
who's the one guy? I have a couple of thoughts. But who's the one guy you, as a diehard Knicks fan,
like in season, or you mean like
just maybe this summer coming up?
Oh well, if I could have anyone, like not just free agency, I can get anyone. If I can make a trade for, that Devin Booker to me is perfect.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.